Welcome to our quick edition of Old Timers Trivia. Question 1. In Walt Disney's Davy Crockett, Davy was played by one of these actors. Fess Parker. Fess appeared in a number of movies. After his career, he acquired a vineyard. Didn't do very well at first until he was convinced to change the name to the Fess Parker Vineyard. Fess property, the vineyard, was up against Neverland, owned by Michael Jackson. Fess said he never met Michael Jackson, but he did in fact wave to him one time. Who was given a two-way wrist radio in January 1946 and used it throughout his or her career until it was upgraded to a wrist TV in 1964? And of course, Dick Tracy. Dick was drawn by Chester Gould for many years. Dick appeared in chapter plays and serials, and a more recent movie by Warren Beatty. That's about it. Which movie won Oscars in the 1939 Academy Awards ceremony for the following categories: art direction, film editing, and original musical score? Surprisingly, The Adventures of Robin Hood. All of these movies came out in 1939. A major year for Hollywood. Who was banned from baseball in 1920 after a highly successful 1919 World Series play, including a World Series record with 12 base hits? Shoeless Joe Jackson. Joe is one of 8 people who were involved in what became known as the Black Sox scandal while he was on the team of the White Sox, and they were accused of a conspiracy with regard to the World Series. Who was given a special Academy Award for Male Juvenile Actor in 1939? And of course, Mr. Andy Hardy himself, Mickey Rooney. Who hosted Queen for a Day? Jack Bailey. Question 7. Which president began his career working at the radio station WOC Davenport? Ronald Reagan. Round 2. Which magazine printed a centerfold picture of Burt Reynolds? Cosmopolitan. This led to the introduction of Playgirl magazine. Burt was offered an opportunity to appear in Cosmopolitan by Helen Gurley Brown on a talk show. Burt hesitated, but subsequently agreed. Which book of the Bible is this from? When two men are fighting and the wife of one of them intervenes to drag her husband clear of his opponent, if she puts out her hand and catches hold of the man by his privates, you must cut off her hand and show her no mercy. Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is a recounting of Moses' farewell address as his people are about to enter the Promised Land. He reminds them of the history of his people. He reminds them of the laws that have been established, and he lectures them on the importance of those laws. It Happened at the World's Fair was set in what city? Seattle, with the Space Needle. Space Mountain is a popular attraction at Disney World. Is there a Space Mountain at Disneyland in California? Yes or no? Yes. Space Mountains are at most, but not all, of the Disneyland properties around the world. The second wife of the 49th governor of New York and the 41st vice president of the United States, Nelson Rockefeller. Her name was Happy. Spartacus was best known for Spartacus and two others led a gladiator revolt against Rome. Rome sent troops after the army of slaves and others who joined. And the Roman legions were defeated for several years before ultimately Spartacus was killed in battle. Oh, by the way, there's a great movie starring Kirk Douglas, number of other great actors in the movie, and I recommend it. SHAZAM was a term frequently used by one of these. Gomer's probably best known for using the term golly, but he also used the word Shazam frequently. Round 3. Gypsy Rose Lee was an American burlesque entertainer. In our team play that we do live, one of our contestants, a younger person, said, "Oh, Frank, I guess E, sister of Stan Lee, because I know how much you like Stan Lee. Spoiler alert. Who dies in Charles Dickens' novel A Tale of Two Cities? I was reminded that a number of people die, but which of these individuals dies in A Tale of Two Cities? And Sidney Carton goes to his death. Which of the following is a Major League Baseball pitcher? Satchel Paige. It's for our sports fans out there. Bill Halsey. And this is why I don't read the answers. Admiral Bill Halsey Bull Halsey, was bedridden during the Battle of Midway. In 399 BC, he went on trial and was subsequently found guilty of both corrupting the minds of the youth of Athens and of impiety, and as a punishment sentenced to death, drinking hemlock. And that was Socrates. The very first drink he orders in his initial appearance, Casino Royale, is an Americano, a mixture of Campari, Cinzano, and soda water. Certainly James Bond. I'm sure that the title Casino Royale was a giveaway on this question. Ian Fleming's first James Bond novel. Sergeant York fought in which of these wars? He fought in World War I. He came from Tennessee. He was a conscientious objector, though he was convinced that it would not be at odds with his joining the military. His group, the group he was with, had captured a small group of Germans, and as they were guarding the Germans, a machine gun nest opened up on the group, and American soldiers were killed, leaving Sergeant York the highest in command of the group. He charged the nest, killing a number of people, number of German soldiers, and the man operating the machine gun surrendered, and by the time he got done, 132, I believe that's the number of Germans, surrendered to Sergeant York. He was one of the most highly decorated military in World War I. And now our question. The TV show Jeopardy has had one host during its lifetime, Alex Tribek. True or false? False. He was preceded by Art Fleming. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook as Old Timers Trivia. Your contributions help keep Old Timers Trivia alive. Please go to DonorBox and support Old Timers. Thank you. Plus, you can visit our OldTimers store on eBay. We put up new items regularly, and you can subscribe to our newsletter on eBay. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget we have the following editions: the original edition for team play, the challenge edition for tougher team play, and the quick edition. The quick edition does not have the delays for group discussion, delays for the tallying of points. It's for someone who wants to play more quickly, maybe playing on their own, and so you have your options. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in the next game.